My beloved child, come and listen closely, for the words my son spoke on the mountaintop contain mysteries that reach into the deepest places of your heart. When Jesus began to teach the Beatitudes, he was not merely offering words of comfort. He was revealing the values of my kingdom, a way of life that turns the wisdom of the world upside down. Each phrase he spoke was an invitation to see through my eyes, to understand that true blessing does not lie in earthly power, wealth, or fame, but in a heart that seeks me above all else. When Jesus declared, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven," Matthew 5 verse 3, he was not speaking of material poverty alone, but of the humility that comes from recognizing your complete dependence on me. To be poor in spirit is to let go of pride, to acknowledge that apart from me, you are nothing. It is this humility that opens the door to my kingdom, for I resist the proud but give grace to the humble, James 4 verse 6. When Jesus said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted," Matthew 5 verse 4, he was not glorifying sorrow but speaking to the beauty of a heart that grieves for what I grieve for. Mourning is more than sadness, it is the recognition of brokenness, of sin, of the distance humanity has placed between itself and me. Those who mourn are those who long for restoration, for healing, for my presence to make all things new. And I promise you, my child, that I will comfort such hearts, for I am the God who binds up the broken-hearted and wipes away every tear. Isaiah 61 verse 1, Revelation 21 verse 4. Mourning in this world opens the way to the eternal joy of my kingdom. Consider also the words, "Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth," Matthew 5 verse 5. The world sees meekness as weakness, but my son was teaching you the strength of a gentle spirit, a spirit that does not seek revenge, that does not cling to power, but trusts completely in my justice and my timing. Meekness is not submission to oppression. It is the quiet confidence of those who know they belong to me. Just as my son, in all his authority, humbled himself to serve and to suffer, so too do the meek reflect my heart. In the end, it is not the proud or the aggressive who will inherit my promises. It is the meek, for they reflect the way of my kingdom. And what did my son mean when he said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled," Matthew 5 verse 6? This is a call to a deep and holy longing, a yearning for my will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. Righteousness is not about perfection in your own strength. It is about desiring what is right in my sight, about seeking justice, mercy, and truth above all else. Those who hunger and thirst for righteousness do not settle for the shallow pleasures of the world. They pursue my heart, and I promise to fill them with my presence, my peace, and my power. For I am the bread of life, and whoever comes to me will never go hungry, John 6 verse 35. Then my son said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy," Matthew 5 verse 7. Mercy, my child, is at the very core of who I am. To show mercy is to extend to others the forgiveness and compassion I have lavished upon you. It is to choose love over judgment, to see others through the lens of my grace. When you are merciful, you reflect my character, and in doing so, you open your heart to receive even more of my mercy. Remember, my word declares, "For judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful." Mercy triumphs over judgment. James 2 verse 13. Do not withhold mercy, for it is the currency of my kingdom. Next, my son declared, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God." Matthew 5 verse 8. Purity of heart is not about outward appearances or rigid rules. It is about a heart undivided in its devotion to me. It is the kind of purity that longs for truth, that seeks holiness not as a duty but as a delight. A pure heart is one that removes the clutter of sin, pride, and distraction, making room for my Spirit to dwell. When your heart is pure, your eyes are open to see me more clearly, not just in moments of worship, but in the beauty of creation, in the kindness of others, and in the stillness of my presence. And what of the peacemakers? Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." Matthew 5 verse 9. Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of my Spirit bringing wholeness and reconciliation. To be a peacemaker is to carry my kingdom into the brokenness of the world, to stand in the gap and bring healing where there is division. It is to forgive when others hold grudges, to extend a hand when others turn away. Peacemakers reflect my image, for I am the God of peace, and they will be known as my children because they mirror my heart. Finally, my Son spoke these words, "Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Matthew 5 verse 10. This teaching is a reminder that living for my kingdom will often place you at odds with the world. Persecution may come in many forms, mockery, rejection, or even suffering, but take heart, my child, for when you endure for my sake, you share in the glory of my kingdom. Remember, my Son told you, in this world you will have trouble. But take heart. I have overcome the world. John 16 verse 33. The kingdom of heaven belongs to those who stand firm in faith, trusting that my promises are greater than anything this world can offer. Each of these blessings reveals a piece of my heart, my ways, and my kingdom. They are not instructions for worldly success, but a blueprint for living as my child, humbled, dependent, and radiant with my love. These are not just words to hear but truths to live, for when you embody them, you carry my kingdom into the world. Listen, my child, for these words hold the power to transform not only your life but the lives of those around you. Let them take root in your heart and bear fruit for eternity. And so, my beloved, let us look even deeper into the treasure that my Son laid before you in the Beatitudes, for each blessing is layered with meaning, revealing not only the values of my kingdom but also the way to experience my presence in your daily life. When Jesus declared, "Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven," Matthew 5 verse 10, he was not merely preparing you for hardship. He was unveiling the truth that righteousness shines brightest in the face of opposition. Persecution may come when you stand for my truth in a world that resists it, but take courage, my child, for when you endure trials for my sake, you are walking the same path as the prophets before you. As my Son reminded his followers, if the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. John 15 verse 18. Persecution is not the end. It is the mark of belonging to my kingdom, where my justice and glory will prevail. Consider also the flow of these blessings, how one leads to another in perfect harmony. To be poor in spirit opens your heart to my kingdom. Mourning for sin brings my comfort. Meekness aligns you with my character, and hunger for righteousness draws you deeper into my presence. Each beatitude builds upon the one before it, showing you the progression of a heart transformed by my Spirit. My Son did not give these blessings as isolated statements but as a holistic picture of what it means to walk in my ways. To live the Beatitudes is to experience the fullness of my kingdom here on earth, even as you await its final fulfillment. And yet, these teachings were not meant to be understood only through the mind, they must be lived through the heart. For example, when Jesus said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy," Matthew 5 verse 7, He was calling you not only to forgive but to embody a lifestyle of compassion. Mercy is more than an act. It is a posture of the soul. It means seeing others through my eyes, recognizing their struggles, and extending grace even when it is undeserved. My word declares, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Ephesians 4 verse 32. Mercy draws you closer to my heart, for I delight in mercy over judgment. Micah 6 verse 8. Reflect also on the power of purity as my son taught. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Matthew 5 verse 8. Purity is not about rigid legalism or outward appearances. It is about the condition of your inner being. A pure heart is one free from division, wholly devoted to me. When your heart is pure, you are able to see me, not only in moments of prayer but in the beauty of creation, in the faces of those around you, and in the gentle whispers of my spirit. As David prayed, create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Psalm 51 verse 10. So too must you continually seek my refining presence. Purity is not perfection in human terms but a constant surrender to my work within you. And what of the peacemakers? My son declared, Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Matthew 5 verse 9. To be a peacemaker is to carry my reconciliation into a broken world, to stand in the midst of conflict and bring my healing touch. But peacemaking is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage, humility, and a deep reliance on my Spirit. My Son himself is the Prince of Peace, and through his sacrifice, he reconciled humanity to me. As Paul wrote, God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, not counting people's sins against them. And he has committed to us the message of reconciliation. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 19. When you step into the role of a peacemaker, you reflect the very essence of my kingdom, for I am a God of unity and restoration. Do you see, my child, how these blessings are not only promises but invitations? They call you to live in a way that mirrors my Son, to let go of the world's values and embrace the values of my kingdom. The world says that power, wealth, and self-sufficiency are the keys to happiness, but my Son revealed a deeper truth. True blessing comes from humility, dependence, and surrender to me. These Beatitudes are not burdens. They are the way to freedom, joy, and eternal life in my presence. And do not overlook the reward my Son promised in each blessing. For every challenge or sacrifice, there is a divine reward that far surpasses anything the world can offer. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. My kingdom is yours, a gift beyond measure. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. My comfort will sustain you in every sorrow. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. All that I have prepared will be yours in my perfect timing. Each promise is my assurance that when you walk in my ways, you will lack nothing of eternal value. My child, let these truths shape your heart and your life. The Beatitudes are not just words to ponder. They are a blueprint for living as a citizen of my kingdom. They call you to embody the very character of my Son, to live in the reality of my presence, and to walk in the power of my Spirit. Listen closely to these words, for they carry the essence of my heart for you and for the world. Let them guide your steps, that you may live a life that glorifies me and reflects the beauty of my kingdom. And so, my beloved, as we linger in the richness of these blessings, let us uncover even deeper truths within them. These words spoken by my Son were not meant to offer comfort alone. They were meant to transform, to awaken you to the reality of what it means to live in my kingdom. Each beatitude, though brief, carries a power that reshapes your heart when you truly embrace it. When Jesus said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled," Matthew 5 verse 6, he was speaking of a longing that goes beyond a casual desire. Hunger and thirst are not mild feelings, they are the cries of the soul, a deep yearning for my justice, my truth, and my holiness to reign not only in your life but in the world. Those who hunger for righteousness will not be satisfied by earthly solutions or fleeting pleasures, for only I can quench that thirst. As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God. Psalm 42 verse 1. This is the heart I desire in you, a relentless pursuit of me, one that I will always reward with my presence. Now reflect on the meekness my son praised, for it is a lesson the world does not understand. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Matthew 5 verse 5. The meek are those who trust me completely, who do not seek to control or dominate but surrender their strength to my will. Meekness is power under my authority, it is not weakness but wisdom. Think of Moses, whom I called more humble than anyone else on the face of the earth. Numbers 12:3. Yet I used him to lead my people out of slavery. The meek may seem small in the eyes of the world, but they are mighty in my hands, for they walk in obedience, knowing that my power is made perfect in their surrender. When you are meek, you are free from the need to prove yourself or fight for your place, for you know that I am the one who will lift you up in due time. 1 Peter 5 verse 6. And consider the power of mercy, for it is not only an act of kindness but a reflection of my character. When Jesus said, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy," Matthew 5 verse 7, he was revealing a fundamental truth of my kingdom: mercy multiplies. The mercy you extend to others opens the door for you to receive even greater mercy from me. Remember the parable of the unmerciful servant, Matthew 18 verses 23-35. Who was forgiven a great debt by his master but refused to forgive a smaller debt owed to him. In his lack of mercy, he forfeited the grace that had been given to him. My child, do not let this be so with you. Forgive as you have been forgiven, love as you have been loved, and let mercy flow from your heart as a testimony of my mercy within you. Look also to the purity of heart that my son called blessed, for it is the key to seeing me clearly. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Matthew 5 verse 8. Purity of heart is more than avoiding sin. It is about having a heart undivided in its love and devotion for me. A pure heart is not distracted by the desires of the flesh or the lure of the world. It is fixed on me alone. Who may ascend the mountain of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? The one who has clean hands and a pure heart. Psalm 24 verses 3-4. When your heart is pure, your eyes are open to my presence all around you, in the beauty of creation, in the kindness of others, and in the stillness of your own spirit. Purity clears the fog of sin and selfishness, allowing you to behold my glory and walk in my light. And what of those who mourn? My son said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Matthew 5 verse 4. This is not a mourning without hope. It is a mourning that recognizes the brokenness of the world and the weight of sin. It is the kind of mourning that turns your heart toward me, for only I can bring true comfort. My Spirit is called the Comforter for this very reason. John 14 verse 26. Those who mourn for the pain in their lives, the injustices in the world, and the separation caused by sin will find my arms open wide, ready to heal, restore, and renew. Mourning is not weakness. It is the pathway to my comfort, for when you bring your pain to me, I replace it with my peace. Now, consider the blessing of the peacemakers, for they are my agents of reconciliation in a fractured world. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Matthew 5 verse 9. To be a peacemaker is to carry my heart into conflict, to bring my healing into division. It is not the easy path, for the world often rewards those who sow discord and division, but I call you to something higher. As Paul wrote, God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, not counting people's sins against them. And he has committed to us the message of reconciliation. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 19. When you step into the role of a peacemaker, you bear my image, for I am the God of peace, and you reflect my desire to bring all things into harmony under Christ. Finally, my child, hear the blessing given to those who endure persecution for my sake. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 5 verse 10. To follow my Son is to walk a narrow path, one that the world may reject. Persecution may come, but it is not the end. It is the evidence that you belong to my kingdom. Rejoice, for great is your reward in heaven. Matthew 5 verse 12. Remember, my Son endured the cross for the joy set before him. Hebrews 12 verse 2. When you face trials for my name, you share in his glory, and I am with you in every moment of your suffering. Let these words take root in your heart, for they are not simply teachings. They are the foundation of life in my kingdom. Each beatitude reveals a way of being that aligns your heart with mine, drawing you into deeper communion with me and reflecting my glory to the world. Do not merely hear these words. Live them, for they are the pathway to the abundant life I have promised you. And so, my beloved, let us press further into the truths of these blessings, for their meaning runs deeper than the surface of human understanding. Each word my Son spoke carries the essence of my kingdom, inviting you to not only comprehend but embody its principles. When Jesus said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled," Matthew 5 verse 6, he was revealing a divine paradox. Those who feel the deepest lack are the ones who will be most satisfied. Hunger and thirst for righteousness are signs that your soul is alive to my spirit, yearning for my justice, my holiness, and my truth to prevail in the world and in your heart. This is not a fleeting desire, it is an ache, a longing for all things to be set right under my rule. Those who hunger and thirst in this way will not be disappointed, for I have promised, I will pour water on the thirsty land, and streams on the dry ground. Isaiah 44 verse 3. Your desire for righteousness aligns your heart with mine, and I will fill you with my presence, my peace, and my power. Now consider the call to mercy, for it is through mercy that you reflect my love to a broken and hurting world. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Matthew 5 verse 7. Mercy is more than forgiveness. It is compassion in action. It is seeing the wounds of others and stepping into their pain with kindness and grace. My child, do not forget that you too have received mercy. As my word reminds you, because of his great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive with Christ even when we were dead in transgressions. Ephesians 2 verses 4 to 5. The mercy I have shown you is the mercy I call you to extend to others, not because they deserve it, but because I have loved you first. Mercy is a bridge that leads hearts back to me, for when you forgive, when you show compassion, you open the door for my healing to flow into the lives of others. And what of the purity of heart my Son spoke of? Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Matthew 5 verse 8. To have a pure heart is to live with an undivided focus on me, to let go of distractions and idols that cloud your vision of my glory. Purity is not merely the absence of sin, it is the presence of a single, unshakable devotion to me. As David prayed, "Teach me your way, Lord, that I may rely on your faithfulness. Give me an undivided heart, that I may fear your name." Psalm 86 verse 11. A pure heart sees me not only in moments of worship but in the beauty of creation, in the love of others, and even in the trials of life. When your heart is pure, you recognize my hand in all things, and your life becomes a reflection of my holiness. Now turn your attention to the peacemakers, for they are my children, called to mirror my heart in a world of division and strife. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Matthew 5 verse 9. To be a peacemaker is not to avoid conflict but to step into it with the courage and grace to bring my reconciliation. It is to sow seeds of unity where there is division, to heal wounds where there is hurt, and to speak truth where there is confusion. My Son, the Prince of Peace, reconciled all things to me through the cross. Colossians 1 verse 20, and I have called you to carry that same ministry of reconciliation. As Paul wrote, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Romans 12 verse 18. Peace is not weakness. It is a powerful force that transforms hearts, relationships, and communities. When you walk as a peacemaker, you declare to the world that you are my child, for I am the God of peace. And now, reflect on the promise given to those who endure persecution for my sake. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 5 verse 10. Persecution is not a sign of failure but a mark of faithfulness. The world will often reject what reflects my kingdom, for its ways are contrary to my truth. But do not fear, my child, for I am with you in every trial. My Son himself said, "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first." John 15 verse 18. When you suffer for my name, you are sharing in the glory of Christ, and great is your reward in heaven. Matthew 5 verse 12. Persecution refines your faith, drawing you closer to me and strengthening your reliance on my Spirit. Trust that no suffering is wasted, for I am able to bring beauty from ashes and joy from mourning. Isaiah 61 verse 3. Do you see, my child, how these blessings are more than words of encouragement? They are an invitation to live a life that reflects my kingdom in its fullness. Each beatitude is not just a promise but a call to action, a way of life that transforms you and the world around you. They challenge you to let go of the values of this world, pride, power, self-sufficiency, and embrace the values of my kingdom, humility, mercy, purity, and peace. This is the path to true blessing, a life that is rooted in my presence and anchored in my promises. Listen closely, for these words are not just to be heard, they are to be lived, that my kingdom may shine through you in all its glory.